In this tutorial, I'll be teaching you how to use HTML and CSS in order to create this specific look to a website. Right, I'll start my website by defining an area, in this case the wrapper, which will hold all my elements that I'm going to be placing on my website. The first element that I'm going to be inserting in my wrapper is my header. Next up is the yellow area, which is called my nav or my navigation bar area. The purple area is called my left column. The grey area in the middle of my screen is called the middle column. And then on the right hand side I've got this column called my right column. Right at the bottom I've got the green area that is called my footer. Right, to recap, the blue area I'm calling my header, the yellow area I'm going to call nav, the columns I'm going to call left column, middle column and right column, and then I've got an area at the bottom that I call my footer. These are the HTML elements that I'm going to be referring to next. Right, looking at the HTML code itself, here you can see the code that I'm going to be using in order to construct this site, and these areas that I've just made mention of, you can see that I'm inserting them in between the body opening tag and the body closing tag, and there they all are: the wrapper, the heading, the nav, the left column, middle column, right column, and my footer. You need to reproduce this code in your own index.html file to be able to get this effect. Very important to note that once you've put all this code in and you preview your website, it will in fact come up blank because you haven't done any styling. We'll be doing the styling right now. Right, I'm using a separate CSS file to do my styling in, and I'm just going to call that CSS file of mine style.css, and I'm going to put it inside the CSS folder. I'm starting off to style the first part, which is the wrapper. Now once I've styled the wrapper, I can save it and then I can go and have a look at what it looks like. It should then come up with this block all by itself in my Internet Explorer. Adding the header styling is simply inserting this little bit over here, and again, if you save it and you go and have a look at it, you should get this look in your browser. Next up is the navigation CSS styling, so I add that in, and that will result in this yellow section, the nav section, coming up in my website. I go ahead and I add the left column styling, and you'll notice that I'm inserting a top margin and a margin right, which will give me this area in between so that it doesn't sit very tight. It in fact leaves a space open, and it's going to leave a space open over here as well. Now I insert my middle column CSS code, and you'll notice over here that I'm only having a margin at the top because I've already taken care of this gap between by adding the margin over on this side over here. Go ahead and add the right column code, and in the right column code again you can see that the width that I've set these three columns to be at is 33%, and I've kept the left column 33%, the right column 33%, and I've just made the middle column ever so slightly bigger, and that leaves me with the space automatically in between. The final piece of code that I need to add is my footer code, and again you can see this green section will display once you've added this footer code, and that's it. That's how you create this look. Now, very important, you will now go back and you will go and populate these areas with content that you want to display on your page, but that's pretty much the layout of a typical website.